Hello there, and welcome to this session solving tactics on justtempo.com with the advocate. Let's go ahead and get started with this session. Remember to, pause and, do your own mental labors, blah, 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 blah. So I should check and then take the queen, yeah? If I take the queen, then just knight d6, but queen d7 check, then taking will take the cake. Get me my cake and eat it too. Queen takes f3 is stupid, but queen takes c7. Queen takes c7, pawn takes c7, rook takes d3. And how's he gonna get a queen? I'm controlling the knights, so yeah. I should have considered other responses, but yeah, I should have considered other responses. I'm sorry. Rook takes d. Looks like it's working. Rook takes d, pawn takes, rook b7 check. And if king f6, there's queen check, king g6, queen takes g7 check. And that's just a slaughter. The checkmate will be with g4, I think. So rook takes d5, pawn takes d5, rook b7. Now if king f8, it's a very simple mate. And if king g6, queen e6 check, king h5, queen takes f5 check, king h4, queen queen g6 not mate, but g3 will be checkmate. The queen on f4, f5, f5, f5 covers h3. So rook takes. Pawn takes, queen check. And this is checkmate directly. Boom, boom. So best chances are here. Queen check, takes, check, and now go away, go away, go away. Ah, whatever. You get the idea. G3 check is not mate. Oh, G3 check is not mate. This is checkmate. No, this is not checkmate. This is checkmate. That was annoying. Okay. There are a couple ways to win material here. There's bishop takes e5, and there's... Nope, just bishop takes e5. So bishop takes e5. If rook takes, bishop takes queen. Bishop takes e5. If queen takes d8. And yeah, clearly he takes the queen because otherwise it's a rook up. So if rook takes queen, then queen takes, and then again, this is hanging. Queen d8, king h7, that's nothing. So yeah, you just have to see that the queen is overloaded. Remove the defender. Knight check. Knight check, knight takes, knight check, queen takes. Ah, but knight check here wins the queen. So knight check, king d2. There's no follow-up. There's not going to be any sort of obscure checkmate. I just take the queen. This was not my French. My first reaction was knight c2. So I'd like to put some pressure on this rook here. I'd also like to put some pressure on this queen. How about knight g4, rook takes e8, knight takes f2. And it's not as if he's going to win two rooks. So yeah. And again, I didn't calculate after the problem. Like, I didn't calculate the follow-up. Okay, so rook h1, king takes h1, rook h5, double check, king g1, and then rook h1 will be mate. Double check, rook h1 mate. So the thing to see is that if this rook were not there, rook h1 would be mate. So if this bishop had an open diagonal, it would be checkmate in 1, rook h1 checkmate. And these rooks here are redundant. So I need to have any rook, doesn't matter which one, on h1. So I sacrifice one of them. The take is forced. The take isn't forced, but this is also checkmate. This queen has no squares. Bishop takes g4, and she has nowhere to go. So bishop takes g4, and what's the best move? Bishop takes g4, rook takes, bishop takes h5, bishop takes g4. And how can he save? Rook e1. Yeah, bishop takes g4, rook e1, queen takes e1, queen takes g4. Winning the exchange and a pawn. So this is not a difficult problem out of the simple fact that it's not a really obscure queen trap, because bishop takes g4 is a natural move even if the queen is not there, because this pawn is hanging. My first instinct was actually something associated with f3, but There's no real good follow-up to that. Or I'm sorry, not f3, but f6. So rook e1 check, rook takes e1, queen takes d3 will be a queen win. He has no like light squared, dark squared bishop or something, so rook d8 doesn't come with checkmate, or rook e8 isn't mating, so rook e3 is obviously off the table because of knight takes e3. Mistakes made in that position, queen takes d3, queen takes d3, rook takes d3, rook e1 check does nothing. So yeah, you just have to see the remove the defender. Now, the important thing to notice about this is simply that there's no way for white to save himself. The king can go nowhere. Queen f1. Is just the same thing. Right? It's still a rook for a queen. I'd like to try and get queen d1 mate in somehow. Knight d4 looks pretty. Knight d4, knight d4, queen d2, knight takes check. So knight d4, knight d4, queen e3, knight c3 check, knight d4, knight d4, queen d2, knight takes check, pawn, or bishop takes. Yeah, bishop takes. So queen d2 is not an option. Queen d1 is not an option because of knight takes check, and you would have to give up the queen, or you're just getting mated, forced mate. There's no way to avoid it, really. So queen d1 is not saving. Queen d2 loses the queen. Queen e3 loses the queen. Queen c2 is obviously dead. And queen d3 also loses the queen. Or loses a piece, rather. I think that's not a bad solution to the trouble. So the point is queen e3, knight fork. Queen d2, bishop takes, and if pawn takes, knight check. And queen d, this is obviously just hanging the piece, right? After pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes, and I'll take here before recapturing on d3. Good problem. I like that one. I think it's a real nice one. It's a very common king in the center kind of thing. Hanging piece. Rook takes b6. Unless there's some sort of snazzy checkmate. I don't see it. What's the point? Rook takes. This is just a hanging piece. Rook e7, king h6. This is nothing. Rook h7, king h8, also nothing. So yeah, I'm just going to take that. Weird problem. Peter Svidler. with the black pieces. What the hell? This is a very strange problem. Oh, this is cute. Queen takes h6, king takes h6, rook checkmate. The bishop covers the flight squares. So you can imagine that it's almost like a back rank mate, right? It's almost a back rank mate with pawns on g7 and a pawn on g5 or something. Or you can imagine in your head that this king is suffocated by his own pawns or by his own pieces. But in this case, it's the bishop that covers the flight squares and then the g8 pawn that, you know, blocks in his own king. Let's do one more. So this looks like some sort of check, king, and then the checkmate will be the queen on e7. That's what my instincts tell me. It's going to look like queen check, king f7, queen check. If king e8, checkmate. If king e6, checkmate. All roads end on e7. And the reason why this pattern is so easy to recognize is because of the pawn protecting the knight's squares, if that makes sense. The queen can only function as a bishop and a rook. Bishop and a rook. And she can't cover the knight square, that is to say d5 and f5. So to deliver the mate, you need to cover those two flight squares, which is what this pawn's lovely labor is. All right, that'll be it for this session today. This was all just pattern recognition for those past few problems. Wrong moves made, f7 check, queen takes f7, I think was the problem there. f7 check, queen takes f7, and black is threatening queen f1 mate, so you need to deliver some checks. You're not really doing anything. So this is a perpetual at best. You're down a piece. I do not agree with this idea of f7 check. But to be fair, it does require some pattern recognition to be able to see that the king cannot escape on e6. Alright, thank you so much for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And until the next one, take care of yourselves. Good luck on your chess journey. Bye-bye.